Hey, what's up, guys? This is Dr. Kotei, the primary care physician you can trust, breaking down the topics you care about in a way that you can understand. The holiday season is here upon us, and I'm feeling very festive. In this video, I wanted to talk about a few medical or health-related gift ideas for those loved ones dealing with chronic medical conditions. So let's have some fun. Before we get into these gift ideas, I just wanted to put in a plug-in for the channel. If you're not already familiar with Trust PCP, I try to answer some questions commonly asked in the world of primary care, and I try to answer them in a way that's simple and easy to understand. And I also try to engage with my patients and answer any questions that you may have in addition to the ones that I answered in the videos. So if you haven't already, please hit that subscription button down below and tap the bell icon so you can get notifications on new videos. Now, for all the items that I discuss in this video, I'm going to leave links down below so you can check them out and see what other users around the world are saying about these products. Now, the first item that I'm going to talk about is the Freestyle Libre glucose meter. So as you know, for people that are diabetics, one thing that we ask of them is that they check their blood sugars regularly so we can know whether or not their treatments are actually working. But one of the things about taking their blood sugars is that you have to stick your finger. We have to prick it with something called a lancet, and you get a drop of blood, you put it on a strip, and then that's how you read your blood sugar. So for a lot of people, they don't necessarily adhere to checking their blood sugars every single day or checking them often because they don't like that feeling of having to stick their finger with a lancet. So this invention came out where basically you don't have to actually stick yourself every time you check your blood sugars. What happens is that there's a little sensor that you actually put on your arm. And one thing I should say is that there is a little bit of a needle there under the sensor that goes under a layer of the skin. And it stays there for an extended period of time, usually about 14 days or so. And basically what you do is that you use a reader to scan that sensor, and that measures your blood sugar. So you don't have to prick your finger each time when you check your blood sugars. So, this is a good idea, and it's something that, was a breath of fresh air for a lot of diabetics who really did not want to stick their fingers at all. But there has been some issues with accuracy because when we use a traditional glucose meter, we actually prick the finger and we're actually measuring the amount of sugar in the blood itself. However, with this meter, you're not really measuring the blood sugar per se. You're actually measuring something called interstitial fluid, which is another type of fluid that lives somewhere within your body. So it's not getting the most accurate blood sugar reading from your body. And so this can potentially present some issues. If there's something that you feel like, you have somebody that that's diabetic and is not checking the blood sugars ever, then this might be a good gift for them. It's not always covered by insurances too, so that's another thing to keep in mind. And that's why it might be something that would be a good gift from someone to that patient, because that patient is not going to be able to get their insurance to necessarily pay for it anyway. Definitely check the link down below to this to read more about it and see if that's something that might be good for one of your loved ones. Now, the next item that I wanted to discuss is a medical alert device, kind of like this one from LifeStation. Now, medical alert devices or medical alert systems have been around for over 30 years and have saved countless lives in this country, especially in the senior citizen population. Because as you can imagine, a lot of these folks, they either live alone or they spend a lot of time by themselves alone in the household without anybody there to help them up with activities of daily living. And a lot of them are prone to falls in which they either trip or maybe even faint, and they end up on the floor, can sustain some serious injuries, and sometimes they can't get to a phone and call 911 or get any kind of medical attention. In some cases, they can even be on the floor for many days if they don't have a way of being able to contact anybody whenever they fall. So life alert devices that go around your neck that have a button to press can be very helpful. The way that these systems usually work is that you pay for the device in a one-time fee, and then you actually pay a monthly fee to have access to the service, the emergency service that can respond whenever you press the button. When a button on the device is pressed, it sends a signal to a monitoring center that's open 24/7, 365, that's ready to take your call. And you actually speak to that monitoring center through the device. They find out what's going on, and if it sounds like an emergency, what they do is they connect you with emergency services right to your house or wherever you're located. And they actually have GPS tracking as well. So if you're not able to answer on the device, if you're unconscious, then they'll be able to track you through GPS and send help to your location. It also works with Amazon Alexa. It also has fall detection as well. Now, the next gift idea that I wanted to discuss is a pulse oximeter like this one from a company called MyBest. Pulse oximeters are devices that go on your finger and they measure your oxygen saturation. So this is just a percentage of blood in your body that's connected to oxygen. And for a healthy person, this is supposed to be around 98 or 99%. But for people with severe lung and heart conditions, your oxygen saturation can get pretty low. And the way we assess it is through this device in the hospitals and in clinics. But sometimes it could be good for a patient to have one of these at home so they can check in on their own and see how their condition is doing. Because if they have a worsening of their condition and they want to know whether or not the medications that they're taking are actually helping, this is a good way to assess that. This device has a dual color LED display, tells you your oxygen saturation and your heart rate as well, which is pretty standard for a lot of these pulse oximeters. It comes at a reasonable price and has been highly rated among consumers. Now, the next gift idea that I wanted to talk about is a TENS unit. A lot of you are probably wondering, what on earth is that? Now, TENS stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. These are devices that are meant to treat chronic musculoskeletal pain. And the way they work is that it's an electrical device that's connected to an electrode. And basically, you place this electrode in different parts of your body that have chronic pain. And it's intended to give it a massage or an electrical impulse that should decrease the amount of pain that you feel in that area. Now, while discussing this device, I do want to give a full disclosure. When you look up TENS units in the literature, there's not a lot of evidence that shows that they're extremely effective when you compare them to placebo in terms of helping with chronic musculoskeletal pain. However, from personal experience, I have had a few patients that use these 10 units for extended periods of time and were able to achieve some level of relief in terms of their chronic pain. So the way that I look at it is that it's worth a try, especially in this era of opioid addiction and the opioid crisis, where we're trying to move away from, this pill popping and actually just getting people on alternative methods of treatment to deal with chronic pain, which is so rampant and so prevalent in the world of medicine. Before considering a TENS unit for a loved one, just keep in mind that these aren't for everybody, and people with certain medical conditions are advised not to use these, especially people that have electrical devices implanted into their bodies already. So just read some of the disclaimers and just make sure that if you're going to buy this for somebody, they're actually the appropriate person for this type of device. Now, these last two items are a little bit on the pricey side, but depending on your budget, they still might be a good gift idea for one of your loved ones. The first one is a rowing machine. So rowing machines are exercise training machines that basically enable you to do the motions of somebody who's actually on a boat rowing. And this is a good way to get not only aerobic training, but also some weight training in as well. So it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. Depending on who you are, it looks like they could be pretty fun as well to use. It looks like a little bit more stimulating and a little bit more fun than just being on a treadmill or being on an exercise bike. So that might be one of the appeals and maybe a reason why this might be a little bit different in terms of, some of the exercise equipment that tends to just sit in the corner or in an attic somewhere collecting cobwebs and dust. And the last item that I'm going to discuss is a Cpap supply cleaner. Ooh, sexy, right? Now, the reason why I included this on here is because one issue that I see a lot of patients run into is that they have sleep apnea, which is a condition in which while they're sleeping, they actually stop breathing, so they're not moving oxygen into their lungs and they're not moving carbon dioxide out of their lungs. Now, the treatment for this is a machine called Cpap, which basically blows a bunch of air down their airway to keep it open so they can easily exchange air and oxygen throughout the course of the night. Now, what happens a lot of times when people are on Cpap is that and when they have it for a few years, the supplies and the tubing that goes along with it, which is a mask, a long tube that connects to the machine, usually get very dirty. And when they keep using them, even after they're dirty, they can actually be at risk for a lot of infections from mold and bacteria and viruses and things of that nature. And it's very difficult to kind of clean these supplies. So with this machine, basically all you do is that you drop your supplies in there, and then there's an ultraviolet light that basically kind of kills all the different microorganisms on the equipment. And then you press the button, you let it clean, you take them out, and you don't even have to leave it sitting for a longer period of time because there's no harmful chemicals that it gets exposed to or anything like that. So if you have a loved one that is on Cpap because they have sleep apnea and they're not really using their machine because their supplies are outdated or old or dirty, and they don't really have an easy way to actually clean them or get access to brand new supplies, this is definitely a good gift to consider for them. So those are my gift ideas. If you have any ideas of your own and want to know what I think about them, be sure to drop a line down below. Have a safe and joyful holiday season. Peace out.